Hi, my name is Meng, and my topic today is the effect of personality information presenting order on interpersonal relationships. As you may already know, that first impression is very important. When you first meet someone, you may have this general impression of that person. Is he kind? Is he generous? Or is he hard to deal with? However, have you ever had the experience that the first impressions are not always correct? For example, when you watch a TV show, a good person could show his dark sides along the way, and a bad person may start to show his reasonably soft side along the way, and he turns out not to be that bad. That is how I got interested into studying these type of questions. The first step of this research is to look for old research. When looking back the literatures of the psychology field, I found one article written by Levine in the 1950s. His design was to show his participants 4 passages. He designed 4 conditions for each passage. The first condition is that a good person consistently shows the good behavior over the time. And the second condition, he shows that a bad person continuously to do bad things over time. The third condition, however, he designed a good person and turns him into a very bad person in the end. And the fourth condition, as you may know, that he changed a bad person into a very good person. His conclusion was that people value progress. People like the bad person who changed into a good guy. And people hated the guy who changed from good to bad, because people tend to think that they're a hypocrite, that they're hiding their true bad side to other people. However, he has a main flaw in his studies. That flaw is that he designed his research and conducted it in a lab, which means it's not very real. When we interact with people in real life, we face their faces, we talk to them, and we see their behaviors day to day. In that way, we know how a person really behaves in real life. So in my research, I do my best to mimic this real life situation. I wanted to shoot a video showing a real life dating scenes and show them to my participants and let them decide whether to like the targeted person in the video or not. However, the one important thing in psychological research is that you have to manipulate the content in the way that no confounding variables can be found. Which means I have to show the exact same content to the 2 groups of people, one control group and one experimental group. However, I can't really show a video that can play backwards and still make sense. So, in order to study the changing directions and their effect on interpersonal relationships, I have to come up with a way that the video can show exact same content and it still has meanings. So I came up with an idea that I divided the video into 3 parts. The first part shows a guy in a very considerate and kind way. And the second part shows the dating scenes between the guy and the girl. And the third episode shows the guy is a very rude and not kind and inconsiderate people. And the third episode shows that the guy turns into a very bad person. He's not considerate and he's rude. And this is for the control group. And for experimental group, I have to manipulate the order. The order goes this way. A bad person who is rude, and the dating scenes, and a good person. So in this way, I can achieve those goals of eliminating confounding variables and still make sense. 3 questionnaires was given out to the participants. These 3 questionnaires have the exact same content. The first questionnaire was given out before the participants ever watched the video. This served as the baseline test. They were given a profile picture of the actor in the video, and they are asked to rate him in a reading scale. And the second questionnaire was handed out after the first episode. This served as pre-test. And the post-test was that the questionnaire handed out at the end of the video. It shows how person feel after they watch the change of that person. I have two objectives of my research. The first objective is how attractive do you think the guy was? And the second objective is to show that changing courses really means a lot in interpersonal relationships. And other than first impression, changing course could really change a person's view of other people. For the first objective, I managed to group the questions on the questionnaire into two groups. The first group is objectiveness judgments of that person. Participants will answer questions like, do you trust that person? Do you want to be his friend? And do you want to do a homework project with him? The second part of the questions shows how attractive that targeted person in the video is to the participant. Do you want to go out with him? Do you want to date him? Do you think he's handsome? For my second objective, I wanted to know how far away a person can fall off the best baseline, no matter if he changed into a good person or changed into a bad person. In this graph shown on the screen, you can see G1, G2, B1, and B2. In my hypothesis, G1 has to be shorter than G2, and B1 has to be larger than B2. And the slope of these two graphs could be very different. For my first objective, I am still trying to analyze the data and group the questions and code them. And for the second part, I have came to my conclusions actually. This is the gram after I analyzed the data. As you can see, it is not quite the same from my hypothesis. For the person who changed from bad to good, people still do not give him enough credits. He returns to the baseline. And for the other group, you may see that the good person who changed into a bad person in the end have this dramatically fall below the baseline. I guess the take-home message here is that when you give a very bad first impression to other people, you may still change that and maybe change that into a baseline by changing your behavior into very good behaviors. And other people may think of you as he may not be that bad. However, if you are a good person and you give a good first impression to other people, and through the time you screw things up, you started to show this dark side of yourself, then maybe they will tend to hate you more. And that is my presentation today. Thank you for coming.